Hello, friends. The Mahajanapadas were not just kingdoms with thrones and crowns, they were fortresses of ambition. Power here was measured not only in fertile fields or bustling cities, but in the stones of strongholds and the steel of soldiers' swords. To survive among 16 great rivals, one needed more than clever words. One needed walls, armies, and eyes that could see even in the dark. Imagine a land where each horizon was guarded. Forts rose like mountains of stone, their gates reinforced with iron, their moats glistening like deadly ribbons of water. Some were earthen ramparts, vast embankments that encircled entire cities. Others stood with high wooden palisades and watchtowers, from which soldiers scanned the plains. These forts were not just shelters, they were symbols. The taller the wall, the stronger the king's grip on destiny. Inside these walls, armies gathered. They were not like the vast professional armies of later empires, but still formidable. Chariots rattled across dusty training grounds, drawn by horses whose hooves struck like thunder. Elephant corps, enormous and awe-inspiring, stood as living fortresses themselves. Infantrymen carrying spears, bows, and shields marched in ranks hardened by constant drills. And in the heart of it all were the commanders, men whose voices carried both authority and ambition. But to fight a war was not only to wield swords, it was also to wield secrets. The Mahajanapadas were masters of intrigue. Spies moved like shadows across borders, dressed as merchants, travelers, or wandering monks. They counted how many elephants a rival king possessed, how many granaries he had filled, how loyal his vassals remained. Sometimes they whispered rumors in enemy markets to weaken trust. Sometimes they returned with maps of roads and rivers. Espionage was as vital as weaponry. It was the invisible battlefield. And of course, none of this mattered without resources. Forts and armies demanded food, fodder, and wealth. Kings taxed harvests, counted cattle, and kept careful watch over irrigation canals. A hungry soldier was no soldier at all, so granaries were guarded as jealously as treasuries. Even blacksmiths, who forged the iron for swords and plowshares, were part of this web of power. Yet, for all their strength, every kingdom knew the truth. Walls could crumble, armies could be outflanked, spies could be unmasked. No one was safe. That is why fear and vigilance walked hand in hand with glory. When a king looked from his fort, he saw not just his people's prosperity, but the looming possibility of invasion. And so the Mahajanapadas sharpened not just their weapons, but their minds. For the true test was not whether a fort could withstand a siege or an army could win a battle. It was whether a kingdom could outlast its rivals in the long game of survival. The river of time carries us forward, and its waters now darken with the gathering storm. For soon, these walls and armies will not merely guard, they will clash. Kingdom against kingdom, ambition against ambition. The Mahajanapadas are stepping onto the edge of history's great battlefield. Next, we turn to the moment when these rivalries break into open conflict, when diplomacy gives way to steel, and the air fills with the sound of drums and conch shells. Our next tale, When Kingdoms Clash, Prelude to Empire.